how
This
the course
conference
will
will now be recorded.
yeah, so how this course would be, moving forward, what topics we would be covering, and what would be the general approach towards learning, and then how we can evaluate ourselves. And apart from that, we'll cover some basic concepts around fire. So yeah, so this is a general message that I usually give in a class.
Mm-hmm.
It's a short description about what how the approach towards course would be.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just waiting for it to open. Yep. Yeah, so this particular course is basically built for those who are requiring practical training on fire, as well as who are looking for certification for fire exam, especially this fire art for proficient certificate exam. So we will be covering this course, keeping that in mind, and we'll cover the concepts from basics and some advanced concepts, for example profiling that you are interested in, and also concepts such as slicing and all that you might be using in your day-to-day work. And it would be around 30 hours online course, maybe plus or minus 5 hours based on how fast we go, or or if we need some more time to understand and assimilate the concept. So plus 5 or minus 5 could be there. And it will be an online training and plus some hands-on assignment that we will be taking up after every few sessions, so that we'll have practice as well and not just theory or knowledge. Apart from that, I always find this useful. I always have some question and answer sessions dedicated to only for that, and this depends. Either of us, either I feel we have covered enough content that we should have a question and answer session, or you feel like you are overwhelmed and want to address some set of questions that might take a whole session. Then we can arrange a question answer session and clear that out. Apart from that, at the end of the this session there would be one mock test, so that would be to evaluate ourselves how much we have understand, plus this mock test would be in the format of fire or for certification exam. So that could also be a sample questions for you that you can always refer when you are actually giving the fire exam. And a few expectations that I have, attend all live sessions. So since it's just two of us, then either there would be a session, or there would not be any session. So I guess we don't have to worry about that. And complete all assignments. This is required so that you are in practice of what we are discussing during sessions. In your case, I guess since you're already having hands-on in your day-to-day office work, it would be easier for you, plus it might not much matter for you the assignments because you're practicing in your day to work. And yeah, so in a week I guess 6 to 10 hours would be required for this particular course. So it includes both your time that you spend on assignments plus the time that you spend on these live sessions. And we'll be you might have some knowledge about fire, but we will be starting from the basics so that we don't miss any important basic concepts, and that might be helpful in your complex scenarios that when you're working with fire, and ask questions whenever feel like. Yeah, so to guide myself and ourselves, throughout the course, so that we can finish or cover all aspects of fire, I usually divide the whole course, during these sessions. I have given titles around that. So onboarding and welcome to the course is something that we are doing now. Apart from that, we'll cover introduction to fire. We'll cover basics about fire, how fire came into the picture, and then we'll cover concepts that are required to understand fire and to use fire. So similarly I have divided the whole course into different sections and titles, so that we don't miss on anything, and we will be able to cover all the important topics within these 30 hours, or how much ever time that is required. So other topics such as working on CRUD operations, I guess you're already working on, posting bundle, fetching any resources and all those scenarios. So those we'll be covering. and then how to search any fire resource, or a set of fire resources from the server that you're using. I guess you mentioned Firely, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, how to queries that, how to create the queries, what's the structure of that, what are the search parameters that we would be using, what's an invalid query, what's the valid queries, all those rules and uh, validations that Fire usually mentions. So I'll not bore you with the titles of the sessions. Once we are, going forward, then it will all make sense to you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. So today we'll cover few things such as what is fire, then why we should be using fire, and fire scope. So what all can be done with fire. Then why fire is better than HL7V2 or V3 version. All those things we'll cover, and we'll also go through the fire website. So I guess fire website is not a new thing to you. You are already going through the profilings and all, so it will be much easier to catch up. But still, we'll go through some basic things of fire that will help you to understand the basics. And
Mm.
if our time allows, then we'll cover these topics. Otherwise, we'll leave it to our next session.
Do we going into details of all some of resources?
Yes, we will be.
Okay, then fine. Mm.
So why fire? Let's understand, what brought fire into a picture, how it all started. So there's an organization by the name HL7 International. This, particular organization manages or monitors or develops tools around healthcare interoperability. So the version that you hear out, HL7V2 or HL7V3, or you might have heard about CCD, those are the standards that are developed by this particular organization, HL7 International. And FIRE is another standard that is developed by this particular organization. So there is one meeting that has happened by the international team members discussing if HL7 standard were to start afresh, what it would look like. And people start brainstorming, and they came out with these particular points with respect to existing standards. So HL7V2 that we usually use, was successful, but again the technology is old. For example, all the new applications are using XML, JSON, REST APIs, auth. Those cannot be used with existing HL7V2 format that you usually see. So that was the limitation of that. Then version 3 was a robust model. By robust means, it is able to can save a number of fields or support number of fields, but again the size was too much for applications to handle. That's why it is not that much popular as HL7V2. Then CDA was another standard that came around, and it is only used for exchanging documents. By exchanging documents, I mean, think of a scenario where a patient is migrating from one hospital to another, or let's say migrating from one region to another, and he has to produce all his medical history to another hospital. So the medical data that usually used for exchanging is called as document. So CDA is one of the format to fulfill that scenario. But again, the limitation with this was that it can be only used for documentation. It was not flexible enough to handle other scenarios such as admitting patients, or checking repositories, and medical history. All those kind
Mm.
of scenarios were not possible with the CDA. And if you have worked with HL7, then you must be aware that there are not much tools on internet to learn HL7 or to play around with HL7. So that was one of the major, I would say, bottleneck for the implementers of HL7 V2, that they have to specifically learn those tools rather than using regular tools that are available on the internet. And yes, since everything is moving around mobile application these days, with HL7 V2, it was not, I would say, easy to implement when it comes to sharing data to mobile applications. So it was another challenge. And then REST based architectures, that you post a bundle, you post any resources, fetch any resources, update any resources. Those kind of uh, you know scenarios were not possible with HL7 v2, since HL7 v2 holds a combination of data. You cannot just post a
Uh,
patient data, or you cannot just
please,
post a practical data.
okay. Sorry, please. One second.
Yes, please tell me.
Yeah, Kumar, continue.
Yeah. So these were the few points that came around when people were brainstorming around what are the existing challenges and what new can be done. These might not be most useful to you from implementation perspective, but just to give you an idea how fire came into the picture. So these were the challenges with the existing one, and with all those challenges in the mind, fire was designed and few goals were set, that has to be achieved by fire or any new standard that is coming up. So first of all, it should be easy to develop. Since if you're used to fire, then it uses XML and JSON, and XML or JSON are something that are widely used in technology domain. So that's how what it makes easy to develop. And while HL7, if you see the standard of HL7, it's a specific format that is used for healthcare interoperability, and learning around that is not as available as XML or JSON. Then it should be easy to implement. Why fire is easy to implement? Because there are many applications or examples that are available on the fire website. You can refer those and refer to the instructions that are available, and then we can implement it. And it is semantically robust. By that we mean we might be giving a new standard to the world, but it should be compatible with the previous ones. There should be a mapping back that should be possible with HL7 v2 and p3 or CDA. Fire takes care of that, and there are instructions mentioned on the fire website how to map those things. Should be implementer friendly. By this, fire or HL7 international means that we should be able to use common tools and formats that are available around the internet, so that anyone can pick up immediately and start implementing those. And apart from that, since the healthcare data is not just to be referred by the technical people, it would also be referred by doctors, nurses who are not technical person. So that has been kept in mind, and this is one of the goal that fire that has kept for itself, that it should also be making sense to people who are not technical. So if you see the fire website, there are enough text available that a normal non-technical person can understand and make something out of it. And it should be able to integrate with new technologies. So HTTP, XML, JSON, auth, those are the new things that are coming up in and around technological domain, and healthcare application should be able to integrate with those. So that these are the some goals that were set, and how these goals were met is something that is mentioned in this particular document. So if you see Fire website, it is fully hyperlinked. You can navigate from one page to another by clicking on those hyperlinks. So that makes easily accessing easily the definitions or examples, or the definitions of the concepts of fire. So whenever you need any detailed knowledge about something, we don't have to look for where it was. You can click on those hyperlinks and directly navigate yourself to that page where the description is mentioned. For new users, it is overwhelming because there are too much linking that has happened. But once you are used to the use of our website, then it becomes quite handy. So I find it very useful because I don't have to remember where which information is kept. Whenever there is a particular link is mentioned, you can directly navigate to those. Then easy to read format. It is not just available in XML, JSON, or Turtle. Even the text descriptions are also there, so one can easily understand those. and several examples of implementations are available. So there is always a example tab on each resource. We can refer those and create resources in align with those. Even for profiling also, that I guess that you use in your company, it should also have examples tab in that particular websites. And yeah, there is a standard development build process is there. By this we mean, in future, if Fire adds new elements or new resources, it would not be an alien to the implementers. They would be already familiar with the existing Fire formats, so then any new addition would also be in align with these existing resources and elements. Then the Fire implementation is available in Delphi, Java, .NET. There are implementations, and it is being posted on the internet, as well as the links are available on Fire website. So anyone needs any reference how Fire has to be implemented in these particular languages, one can refer those, and either you use them directly, or you can modify them and customize as per your need. Apart from that, various test servers are available for Fire. So Firely is one of the servers. I guess that is a paid version. Firely also has Wonk as a free version that is publicly available. I have worked with Wonk a lot, especially during these classes only. Other than Happy Fire is one of the free open Fire test servers that can be used.
What
And
about Firely?
Firely, I am not sure. I guess this is the paid version. What do you say?
Yeah, I don't know because we are using Firely server.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I guess Firely is a paid version, but Firely has Wonk as one of the free Fire servers.
Wonk it was, but now we are going on to further onto server something. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I guess you can ask this question to your teammate whether Firely is free or available. Can you
Mhm.
share the link? I can by the link I can figure it out, or any the base URL of your Firely.
Oh, it's a server.firely. Where is here? Okay, chat.
Server.firely. I guess it
Hmm.
is a paid version because I have not seen the server.
Okay. Hmm.
Fire endpoint fire reference for .NET.
We are
Simplified
using
.NET.
Simplify.net as of profiles a lot.
Yeah, yeah. So these are licensed plugins. Looks like it is a paid version.
Mhm.
Which version do you use? Fire R3, Fire R4?
That I don't know.
Okay, no sure. I guess mostly you would be using Fire
Mhm.
R4. It's not found. Mm, okay, I guess you can post this question to your teammates.
Okay.
They will feel like you are exploring.
Mhm.
Yeah. So where were we? Yep. Yeah. So another, the way Fire team works, that has helped implementers a lot is the conduction of these connectathons. There are regular connectathons that are happen globally. Any new implementations that has happened, people can participate and get their projects tested from them. Also, there are tutorial sessions that happens at the connectathon. People can join those, learn, then network and get help in case they are stuck with any particular problem. So that is one thing. And apart from regular connectathons, these are the other forums you can approach a Fire team and get help. So I usually get connected with uh, this Firely org chat.
Mhm.
Zulip. Yeah, I usually approach people on Zulip. in any case I get stuck.
I don't know anything about it.
I'll share the link. You can get in touch with those teams.
Okay.
Okay, so from here we'll start the learning of fire. So first of all, the name goes fire. It starts for fast healthcare interoperability resources. Why it is called fast? Because it is expected to implement efficiently and effectively in a very less manner, less time. And healthcare interoperability, because it is developed for healthcare interoperability to solve this problem. And the resources were because the basic the most minimalist element that can exist independently in fire are the resources. So you're already aware about the examples of resources, for example patient, practitioner. Those are the resources. And it combines the best features of HL7v2, HL7v3, and CDA. For example, CDA is for documentation. Fire can also use for exchanging documents. Then HL7v2 covers all the basic elements that are required to exchange data. So Fire also covers that. And then HL7v3 was aimed to provide support to as maximum number of elements that are possible. So in Fire we have the concept of extensions and profiling, so that anything that is not covered for Fire can also be supported and exchanged through Fire. uh, then this we have already covered that the modular components that are possible in Fire are the resources, and with the combinations of these resources, by assembling these resources, we can achieve complex scenarios such as clinical workflows or administrative workflows. And Fire is also suitable to be used for mobile applications, then cloud communications or exchanging EHR or data. So these are the number of releases that Fire has done so far. R5 is still in progress. So R5 you will see widely implemented in and around industry. So I guess again I'm assuming that in your team also works on Fire, but you can again check with your team what which Fire version is based.
Yeah.
Sorry,
R4. Yeah, we are also using.
yeah, R4.
Hmm.
Then I know what is all possible with Fire, what its scope. We can implement clinical care workflows, administration workflows, research workflows, financial workflows. So whatever that you can think of in healthcare domain that can be possible with Fire resources, we can achieve those workflows. And Fire resources can be exchanged in these 5 ways. Rest is rest is something that you are already aware of. You create a bundle, post a bundle, and get some data from Firely, and update the data into the Firely. Messaging is another way of exchanging data. Messaging is equivalent of HL7v2. So in HL7v2, the way we have message events, for example, ADTA01 for admitting a patient, and ATA03 for discharging a patient. Similar equivalent of that are messaging. So whenever there is, if you want to exchange data related to admitting a patient, then messaging can be used. And documents is for exchanging the whole document of a patient or any other healthcare entity. Then services are something. If I give an example, let's suppose you want to figure out how many deaths has happened due to COVID in this particular month. So you hit some API and get the counts or get the data. So those kind of services can be created where you don't have to worry about what resource you are looking for, what is the API, what headers or parameters you have to send. The service will take care of that. The definition of service would be that by hitting this, you will get all these kind of details. But
Uh,
in
I'm not
yes,
understanding services.
services.
Hmm.
Okay, so in layman terms or day-to-day activities, one example of services that I can give is, for example, you request for a credit card statement for this month,
Hmm.
right? So you don't tell the details about what specific transactions and all you're looking for, you just mention that for this month you need a credit card statement, and at the back end the services or the implementation is already taken care that these amount of details has to be forwarded to you in a particular PDF or Word or Excel, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so similarly in healthcare also, you can compare. If I see an example of services, for example, you want to, in a hospital, let's suppose you are on an administrative role and you want to check how many deaths has happened in this hospital for last month, 1 month.
Mm-hmm.
So from your end, you are just giving the query that I need this particular information. You are not worried about which resource you are querying, or what other details that are required. The service itself is meant to serve that particular need.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, but is that we have to develop services or some?
Yes, yes. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what the services means.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
You might not see much of implementation in services, documents, and messaging. REST is something that is you widely used. I guess in your projects also you work with REST APIs rather than any of these three.
Oh yeah, we have
Yeah.
raised.
So yeah. So even from your project perspective, I guess REST is most importantly used one, and for this particular course also we'll cover with REST only. So these are just for awareness purpose that file can be exchanged in these particular ways also.
So do we cover the V2
So for this particular course, we are not covering V2, V3. But if you have any specific questions, I can, help you with that. But not, it is not covered as a part of the course.
Oh, because I'm looking for solution that how we can convert V2 messages to the fire also.
Yeah. So I can give you, while going with the Fire website, I can, uh, give you hints or guide you along that.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to understand completely HL7 V2 V3, that's would be a different course, and it won't be possible to cover the whole thing in these 1 month or 30 hours.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'll not
So
keep you
what
hanging.
if
Whenever you
we
face to,
if we include those things also with this course? Means I want to be particular because if I am going this, so I want to cover this how we are converting V2 messages to the fire. I
yeah.
need to understand those things also. So it's better we can include those part inside and then just give me the means how much I have to means another things I have to do.
Yeah, so the reason I'm not covering, HL7 U2 V3 as part of these 30 years, because the first step for you to is to understand fire, and once you
Mhm.
have the basic knowledge about fire, then we can move to V2 V3. That will make more sense to you, and it will be more helpful to you after that. So once we are done with fire, then we can again sit, and discuss how we can go forward with HL7 V2 and V3 as
Okay.
well. Okay. Yeah, so we'll go to the fire website and see, few concepts. So I usually, use this page as one of the startup page for me whenever I want to navigate to fire website. The reason being because it has a mention of all the versions that Fire has released so far. Uh, you see current versions here. This is the one that is already published one, Fire or 4. And this is the current version. By current, we mean there are changes that are happening to this particular version. The Fire team is already working and pushing the changes based on feedback from the implementers or fixing bugs or any new learnings. So if you do an implementation on this, you might see some breaking changes in the new releases because it's keep on changing. This is something that is fixed, stable, and suggested to go for. This is R4. And these are the branches for or versions of R5 that has released. Again, this is in work in progress, so these are not much widely used. So we'll go ahead with R4 now. So this particular page is the startup page for any Fire version. So this is for R4, and you will see some links such as executive summary, developers introduction, clinical introductions, and architects introduction. So these pages introduce Fire from the perspective of who is actually navigating this particular website. So if you're a clinician, you can navigate to this particular web page and get the introduction of Fire. If you are an architect, then you can go through this. If you are a developer, then you can go through this. But in a nutshell, it will cover the same things that I have covered in this particular session related to why Fire, what Fire, and all those things. What were the limitations with previous versions, and what goal Fire is willing to achieve. So those kind of details would be mentioned here. One question, Mumtaz, as part of your project, do you work with JSON or XML?
Jason.
Okay, good. Uh, so if you see here in the foundation, you will see JSON and even XML, a hyperlink.
Hmm.
We'll navigate to this. This is where it tells about how to interpret a JSON format when it's a Fire standard. Even for this course, I was using JSON as one of the format for the classes. So if you see there could be only these types of elements that are possible. One is this resource type, which is always a part of a resource type, and then the name of the resource would be there. And then the another type of element that you usually see in a file in a JSON is this thing where the element name would be there, and directly it will have some value. For example, how can I explain? I wanted to use your profiles that you use so that you can
Patient
understand the concept. Patient.
or observation.
Yeah, resources. Alphabetical. Let me take example of patient. Or do you have the link of your profiles that you use? We can use that so that you are familiar with what you use in your work.
Which one? Simplify.
The profiles, I'm not sure. Can you share any link that you know navigates to the profiles that you use?
I have to see.
I guess that day you showed me for observation, right? When we connected.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, you can share
simplify.
with that.
One second.
If it is publicly available, then I should be able to access it.
This one for procedure.
Okay, I hope it is publicly available. Yeah. So what I'm trying to figure out here is that I'm trying to interpret uh, the profiles that you work on day-to-day basis based on this particular structure. Okay, so one type of property is where there is the name of the element and it directly holds the value.
Mm-hmm.
And if I compare it from here, annotation. Okay, so there is no direct example, but if I go to identifier, it has something like this. The name of the element is value and it will directly hold the value here, the name of the identifier.
Mm-hmm.
So value is equal to, let's suppose, MRN 1234 or whatever the value that it holds. So this is one type of element that we usually see in JSON.
Mhm.
So JSON is a new thing for you, or you were already working on JSON during your college and
Yeah, in simple way, I know.
okay, so you're already aware of basic concepts, right?
Yeah, but I'm mostly confused with this square bracket, and then I have to go inside, and that kind of things. I'm a bit confused.
Okay, okay, got it. So this is one type that you will see, where the element will already have a value, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then there is another type that you will see where element would be of some data type. For example, if I go here, this particular element is of type reference.
Mm-hmm.
So if it is of some type, then it will start with your curly braces, and that curly braces will have these fields inside it. So
Okay.
yeah, so whenever you see something like this property colon curly braces, it means this particular element is not of primitive type. By primitive means there would be a direct value here, and if it starts with curly braces, that it means it's not a direct value. It will have some sub elements inside it.
Mm-hmm.
And how we will figure out what are the sub elements? You click on that particular type, it will navigate to a new web page, and these are the different elements inside it.
Mm-hmm.
And that those elements again can be have a direct value. If it's a string, it's a primitive type. It can have direct value, or it can may not have the direct value. Again, if you see the identifier is of type identifier. You can again click on this again. If you see the reference in a JSON example JSON, then
Mm-hmm.
it will again start with curly braces.
Okay.
Okay, so if you click on string, you will see directly value and then some string.
Mm-hmm.
So this would be like reference is equal to something. But this particular thing, identifier is equal to identifier. If you go inside identifier, it will again have some sub elements.
Mm-hmm.
So that will start again from curly braces. So that's what it means. In simple way, if it is a curly braces, it means it's a complex data type. You have to further, go on the Fire website, see which type it is, and then click on that, and again, see the sub elements of it, and again then populate those sub elements. That what
Mm-hmm.
in summary means. And
Okay.
yeah, so one is where there is a direct value. Second is where the element is of some data type. This is what we have covered now. And in some cases, the sub elements would be of data types. For example, that we have seen in references. So reference has identifier, and identifier is again of some other complex data type. Okay, so that
Mm-hmm.
particular thing again will start with curly braces. Make sense?
Okay.
Yeah, I guess once we see examples, when we are creating resources, sample resources, then for practice, I'll give some assignments, and I'll also help you around it. I guess that will clear you out. But so far, make keep in mind, if there are no curly braces, it's a primitive value. If it starts with a curly braces, means it is of some data type, and in some cases, the sub elements can be of complex data types. Then again, they will start with curly braces.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Some fields will start with arrays or this square brackets. So this means arrays. For example, if you see uh, this particular profile, 0 to star.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so identifier will start with curly braces, and then this is a complex data type. It will start with braces, yeah, braces, and then inside identifier you will fill these elements. That's how it is created. We'll go into that, once we are practicing how to create a resource.
Mm-hmm.
But this is just for introduction.
Do we go
Yeah.
details with the data types?
Yes, we'll cover those as well. We'll cover what different primitive data types are there. We'll cover what different complex data types are there.
Mm.
We'll cover all those. And a few elements you will see which has reference to other resources, like observation is referred to practitioner, or a patient could be encounter location as well. So some elements could be referred to other resources. So this is another type of element that you will see. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. If I does this particular page has examples, details, mapping, table, XML, JSON. This is the structure definition, then related. Oh yeah, examples are there. Have you gone through these examples yet?
No, I don't know that.
Okay, so let's understand that JSON structure with one example. Profile radiology procedures. How can I use that? On reference to profiles procedures. Example chest X-ray. Example instances, I guess. And resource, drive resource. This should have examples, right? Procedure for patient. Okay, so I'm not able to figure out download SJSON. Let us see one example for it. Are you aware of the JSON formatter tools that are available online?
Mm-hmm.
So this is one of the tools that I usually use, to format a JSON. So, yeah. So if you see, ID is equal to this. This is of example this type, the first one, primitive data type.
Okay.
Okay. Now let's see this one, which starts with braces. Again, this is again example of primitive data type. Okay.
Mm.
So meta is here, but I'm looking for a simple one. It is again array type. Okay, so this is of type this. Property starts
Mm.
with braces means it has some sub element.
Mm.
So meta has some sub element profile, and
Mm.
this will have some value. Cool. In this particular case, profile is an array type. That's why it starts with array.
Mm.
Okay. Otherwise, if it is not an array, if it is 0 to 1, then it would be something like this. Profile is equal to and this whole value.
Mm.
Okay. Yeah. And
Curly
we
braces
look
is
at
equal to array, and the square bracket means
array.
also array. Array of
Yes.
arrays
So,
become
sorry, array of.
it will become.
Uh, in cases when you see cardinality 0 to many, in for example, like this 0 to
Mm.
many, 0 to many. In
Mm.
those cases, you will use the square brackets to identify that it is an array type.
No, we are seeing this meta profile, right? So meta profile is saying like array of array or no?
Meta profile has one element profile,
Hmm.
and it is of multiple. It can occur many times. That is what it means. This can
Okay.
have multiple values. So this is one valid example, and if I have to repeat it, then I
Hmm.
can go with comma and then again mention another profile. This is what
Uh,
it means.
could you give me one example?
Uh, let's suppose, see this, okay?
Hmm.
Coding has, coding is of array type, cool? And
Hmm.
coding has this particular element.
Hmm.
So this can be repeated
Okay.
like this. This can be repeated. Okay, I cannot edit there. I have to edit on left side. So comma and then another entry.
Hmm.
So this is array type. Array means it can occur multiple times.
Okay.
Okay, this will keep on repeating like this.
But with profile, this meta profile, we can do multiple.
Yes, that what it says. It is an array type, so I can give a comma and mention another profile.
Hmm.
Uh, this is how it will keep on repeating.
Okay. So this
So
time
yeah,
we don't need to take care of curly braces, right?
yes. Why we are not worried about curly braces here? Because profile is a primitive data type, while
Hmm.
coding, its element itself is has some sub elements.
Okay. Okay. Hmm.
Okay, so in a nutshell, if I summarize, there could be possible values with direct, there could be starting with braces, and there could be value starting with a square bracket.
Hmm.
So direct value, it's a primitive data type. With curly braces, it has some sub elements. You can remember like this. It can have some sub elements.
Hmm.
Okay? And if it is starting with array, sorry, square brackets, it means it can occur multiple times. So usually the cardinality would be 0 to many, like this.
Hmm.
So we'll have some exercises around this as well for you to get hands-on on it. But today I was just giving an introduction. These kind of different data types are possible.
Okay.
So we have seen this. We have seen this. Now we'll see one example where it will have sub-elements and its sub-element would be of complex data type.
Hmm.
So yeah. So if you see this category has some sub-elements.
Hmm.
Okay, and coding again will have sub elements.
Hmm.
It is again starting with curly braces, although these all can be repeatable. If I give another where square brackets is not there, body site again, curly braces, curly braces. Okay, so this particular resource example doesn't have any such example, but you got the point, right? So
Hmm.
category is starting with square braces, it means it will have sub elements. So coding is one of the sub element.
Hmm.
Okay, and coding again starts with square brackets.
Hmm.
Okay, so it means coding will have some sub elements like this.
Hmm.
If square bracket is preceding this, it means this whole group is repeatable. Okay,
Okay.
if square bracket is mentioned here, let's suppose this, it means it means this particular value is repeatable. I can have multiple values here itself, comma, and then another value. Right?
Hmm.
I guess once you start practicing it, we'll have some assignments around it, then it will make more sense to you.
Okay.
Yeah. Uh, and then some references. This is another type of element that you will see where one element will have reference to another. So I have seen one example here. So subject is starting with curly braces. It means it has sub elements. So reference is one element and it is using the reference of patient. So patient, and this is the ID of the patient.
Hmm.
Okay. So
Okay.
if you see, this is the example of primitive data type.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, so this was an assignment I thought of giving to you. So the way I have explored one profile or one resource and tried to find examples related to these properties. Similarly, take it any profile. I'll suggest take it from the profile that you work on day-to-day basis and
Mm.
try to find the elements that matches these particular types.
Okay.
So we have taken procedure here. You can go ahead with any other any other resources. Profile. I'm not sure where I can for other resources. I guess you're the right person to figure out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So pick for observation, pick for patient, any other profile that is available, and try to find out elements related to these examples. So
Mm.
that way you can develop the skill set around whether to go for a curly braces, whether to go for a array type or direct value. You will be able to identify those then.
Okay.
And from examples you can go from here that we have seen here. I guess we went to JSON here, and then this is the structure definition, details. How we moved to the example part? You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Wait, let me figure out. XML, JSON, not related.
Okay, you want to see the examples? Go to project. Yes, that this COVID-19.
Okay, related. So we went to related here.
No, back. Go to back.
This is the profile that you have shared.
No, no. Again, back. Last page you were there. Yeah,
This part you
here
were
this
saying?
one, this project. This one, as far as COVID-19. Could you say? After chest X-ray is mentioning upside project and this link small.
This
No, up.
history
Up.
related.
Yeah, chest X-ray up. Yeah, this one. Yeah. Yes. That
Okay.
one. Yes, that link. Yeah,
If
link.
I click here,
Hmm. And then you see on guides,
sorry, I couldn't hear you.
guide tab.
Guides. Okay, guides.
And then yes, click on this German Corona. Yeah, open this. And here you can see everything.
Okay, okay, fine.
Select any of means profile, and then in details you will see. No, here left side
Okay,
demographic. Yeah, you
okay. So
select.
these are the profiles in this side, right?
Yeah,
Let's
and if
suppose
you
I
select, and then in the below you will see all the examples. Just select anemia.
mm,
Yeah, and go below. Okay, you
okay.
select the yeah, select that one, or maybe chronical lung disease. You can select, yeah, and then go down. Yeah, down now. Go down. Yeah, down. Yeah, this one.
Okay. Okay, fine. Yeah.
Hmm.
So I guess this is one way that you explored, and
Hmm.
this is another way that I could figure out. I guess if I click on related, I can see
Hmm.
the examples here itself. So if I click on chest X-ray and then download it, it will download the one example for that. This is
Okay.
another way that I can figure out.
Hmm.
If you want me to write it down, then I can convert related and click on example and download. Okay, so pick any profiles and
Hmm.
then try to figure out examples of those types of elements that we have seen in the JSON.
Hmm.
And I have mentioned the link here. You can navigate to this particular page from that link.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. A few other things while working with JSON is that a JSON element can never be empty. You can never have uh, you know examples like this. Text X-ray is equal to this. As per Fire, it is invalid, but it depends on server to server whether they want to reject the whole bundle or they want to ignore these kind of values. So you can test it out from your end. Send one resource to Firely with this particular example. Let's see what error it throws. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So if I remember, your base Fire version is R4. You don't have to check with your team. And then whether Firely is paid or freely available, you can check with this
Mm-hmm.
team. And then the assignment that we have mentioned, assignment for understanding Python, and try this out. Pick
Mm-hmm.
any example, pick any resource that you usually publish it to into Firely, and publish with this just inverted commas,
Okay.
and see what does Firely you know respond. Um, and these JSON elements, when we publishing to Fire server, these has to be character encoding UTF-8. Again, you can check your code, or somewhere you might be converting your bundle to UTF-8. I'm not sure how to do that in .NET, but I guess you can explore the code and check it here.
Okay.
Okay,
Mm.
yeah. But I guess just before posting any resource or bundle to Firely, I guess somewhere you might be setting this as UTF-8, or you can check with your team if you couldn't find it.
Mm-hmm.
And also, while publishing the format type, the Fire suggests application Fire JSON, but some servers accept it as just JSON, or this also application JSON also. So
Okay.
this is another thing that you can explore in your project. When you are publishing any bundle, what is the content type that you set?
Mm-hmm.
You can check with your team or check the code where it is being set.
Okay. It's the standard file applications that you mentioned first, that one.
Uh, this one, application Fire
Yeah.
JSON.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, then you know it, right?
Mm.
Yes, and another thing is the JSON elements can appear in any order. For example, if you see this particular bundle, so ID can come above resource type, meta can precedes resource type or ID. So this order doesn't matter in JSON. While XML, while in XML this particular order matters, but you are not working with XML, so I guess that's not a worry for you.
Mm.
Yeah. So these are the things, and these are the other links if you want to go through those executive summary of Fire, clinical and architectural summary, or comparing Fire with previous standards. These are the links, but I guess from your project perspective, these might not be useful to you. But still, if you want to have a look, then you
Mm.
can go through this. So I'll share this.
May I get
Sorry.
so this tutorial or something? It's something I can read.
So I'll share the PPT.
Okay.
Apart from that, Srinivas, are you there?
Yeah, here I'm here.
Uh, uh, are we supposed to share recordings as well?
Yes.
Yeah, it
Okay,
could
yeah.
be
So
helpful.